From Avenue the Cafe, and just want to make an announcement for next week's show. For the first week ever, we will not be in Long Beach since we've done this show. We're going to be in Hop Park next week. People say, why are you going to be in Hop Park? We're doing something very special. We are with one of our sponsors, Bob McDonald, who I was introduced by my good friend Mark from Broward Limousine. Is going to be sending a limousine to Long Beach High School. He's going to be picking up 20 wrestlers from the Long Beach wrestling team. And we're going to be doing the whole show from Long Island Cares in Hop Park. And all the wrestlers are going to be learning about hunger in Long Island. They're going to be taught how to sort the food. And the whole show is going to be community service for these kids in Long Beach, learning about hunger in Long Island. And I just got an email from FiOS, from Long Island Cares, that FiOS is going to be covering the show, so we're going to be getting a lot of media attention. But it's going to be a great experience for these Long Beach wrestlers to get involved with hunger in Long Island. And we all know, if we all go back a little bit, Cats in the Cradle, Long Island Cares was founded by legendary Long Island musician Harry Chapin. So we're going to have it's going to be a great experience with the Long Beach wrestlers and Long Island Cares next week. But right now, he has trained professional athletes. He is one of the premier trainers in the country, right here in Long Beach. And he authored a book. Let's give it up for Brian Mcnamee. Brian, welcome to the show. And I want to, we brought up the topic of bullying. And several people on our show, Mayor, Jake, Tracy, are all victims of bullying. And you devoted a whole chapter on it. Talk about why you got involved with this very important topic of bullying.
Hey Howie, first of all, thank you for having me on the show. It's always a pleasure. I've been in Long Beach for over 4 years, and I want to reach out. And Long Beach has been great to me. They've always taken care of me. It's a pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, that they actually sit in this room. I feel privileged. How a Champion is Made was co-authored by Steve Cardillo, written by Mark Zakula, who actually wrote my autobiography. And our thing is, every parent, every mother and father wants their kid to be a professional athlete. Every kid, they want to be a professional athlete. And that's how society dictates how we should teach our kids to be professionals. The book was written not to be a professional athlete, just to train, eat right, get good habits. Because when we go to grammar school, high school, college, whether you're a Catholic or Jewish or whatever your faith is, we always have to dictate a schedule. We always have to be on a routine. Kids that are lazy, they play, Xbox, they play Wii. What this book teaches you is, I became a professional strength coach. Steve Cardillo became a professional strength coach, gym teacher, writer, successful in his business at American Nutrition Center in Massachusetts on Everett, where his nephew Peter, they run the business. They were all, this is Peter right here on the cover of the book. That was what Steve did. He trained Peter to become this successful person. And what happened was, we didn't become professional athletes, we became successful. And the book talks about that, and then there are 2 chapters dedicated to how nutrition and working out, being consistent in training, whether it's jumping rope, pull-ups, chin-ups, push-ups, sit-ups, jumping rope, make your rope. The ground is free, the air is free. You can make your own jump rope. It sets you up for success in life, but also it'll give you that confidence not to get bullied. It'll give you that confidence when you go to school. You know what? I was an anti-bully. Now, I was the anti-bully. I took care of the little kid. I took care of those kids. I made sure they were all right. But that was just my nature because I worked out. My father bought me, for my 10th birthday, I got a Dan Laurie bench. He started making me do bench presses and stuff. But you know what? I wish my dad had this book when I was 10, but he didn't. So he just taught me what he knew. And as far as bullying, if you look into the New York Times, CNN, they're talking about bullying. Now, because of the media onslaught of what we have, texting, emails, Twitter, everything else, Facebook, they bully that way, technology-wise. Other than that, it was just face-to-face. You know what? Get in my face, see what happens. That's what me and my father used to roll around in the kitchen, and he would slap me to death. And I'd be sitting there getting beat up because he didn't want me to get bullied. So it's just, there's a lot more avenues for people to get bullied. And this book teaches you not to be bullied and or to be confident about yourself and be comfortable in your own skin. And that's what I teach. I'm comfortable in my own skin, you're comfortable in your own skin. Everyone at this table is a professional, whether it be health or business. We're all comfortable in our own skin, and it's not going to happen if you read that book.
I just thought of something. You know, we read so many negative stories in the media, and this is a good question for the doctor and for Brian, because it kind of like intertwines both of them. The story was this linebacker at Boston College was rated one of the top linebackers in the country. A couple of years ago, he was diagnosed with cancer, and a lot of people wrote him off and figured his life might be over, his career is certainly going to be over, but he didn't get that message. And he came back after a year of treatment and therapy, and he played his last year at Boston College, and no team drafted him. The Giants gave him an opportunity as a free agent, and now he's a starting linebacker of the Giants. So, Doc, I want to ask you, and Brian, I'll start with you first. What's that message about an athlete recovers from cancer, is told his career is over, nobody drafts him, and now he's a starter with the Giants? I think that's such an inspirational story. We can all get something positive out of it.
Thanks, Howard. You're right, it is, and it's few and far, but to take that message further down to the kids with diabetes, the kids with leukemia, the kids that are at grammar school and in high school, going into high school, there is nothing that can hold you back. The only thing that holds you back is yourself. And you have to take that positive message. So yes, we, as being in the media, we have to glorify that. We have to make that an example. And we have to use it because you know what? That kid that says, all right, listen, I'm stricken with this, I'm stricken with that. You know what? There's nothing holding us back but ourselves. And it has to be through education. It has to be. You can't give up. You can't give up. And that's what people do. All right, listen, you got diabetes, you got leukemia, you got this, you know what, throw in a towel. No. It becomes, you know, it's a positive influence on, and being coachable, coachability. You have to train and teach. I'm just a teacher. I'm a glorified teacher. That's all I am. I'll take the worst player on a team and make him the best. But you know what? He'll be the best ever for him or her. That's all you got to do. And that way it gives an interest, takes their mind off their problems. But let science take over. Let science dictate how we go and treat that while we become the best that we can be.
Doctor, what's your message about an athlete diagnosed with cancer, told his career is over, and now he's a starter with the New York Giants?
I think it's no different than any patient I see, and any patient that's taken care of by a physician who has a positive outlook. One must always know the glass is half full, not half empty. And when you see women, such as those women that I take care of with breast cancer, just like the athletes, if you support the fact that this is a battle, you will fight it. As an athlete, you're used to fighting battles. You constantly have to be better, more vigorously performing to be the best that you can be. No different in any cancer patient. And the more positive attitude you have, the better your outcome will be. And we see that. There are books written for the psychological aspects of diseases. And that's why if you look around this table, the women in this breast cancer support group, what they've done is they've survived cancer. They beat the disease. And what they do is they give back. They give back by helping others in a very positive way. No different than any athlete who has cancer. If you think you're beat, you are beaten. If you think you can survive and you will succeed, you will succeed. No different than anybody in any problem that they face, emotional, psychological. If you want to succeed and you have the support group around you to say, I will not lose, I will not give up, I will do the best that I can be, and no one can put me down, and no one can stop me. And that's the same thing with bullying. You can be a victim. You need to be positive, you need to be supportive, and you need to move forward, do well, you know, great.
Absolutely. One topic I want to get into with both you guys, Dr. Sword and Brian, is that one thing I've noticed that there's been a huge change in perception in the way it's treated is concussions. And the biggest example is the greatest hockey player, Sidney Crosby, was sidelined almost a year with a concussion. I remember years ago a guy would be out a month, 6 weeks with a concussion. Let's talk about the change in how doctors treat concussions.
Well, I actually have a personal insight to that. I coach and manage 2 ice hockey teams and roller hockey teams, and have myself had players on my teams sidelined because of concussions. And I can tell you that the governing body, for example, for youth hockey in the United States, which is USA Hockey, has drastically changed their approach to how this topic is managed, to the point that at the middle school level right now, checking is now no longer allowed in the middle school level of USA Hockey sanctioned sports. At the high school level, JV and varsity, they do allow checking. However, they are much more aggressive in how they respond to children, youngsters who have concussions. In the past, it was always admired when a player would get back into play as soon as possible. Whereas nowadays, the approach is much more conservative. They are taken out of play immediately. They must be seen by a doctor immediately, and they have to have a medical clearance letter before being allowed to play again. And I can tell you, unfortunately, I had a player on my team who had a severe concussion this year, and he is now no longer playing. Sad to say, I wish it had never happened, of course. But we are all much more aware of the potential long-term damage that concussions can lead to, and therefore much more aggressive in limiting their ability to get back into the sport as quick as in the past. Time heals in concussions, and that is something that we need to be much more in tune to and much more supportive of. And rather than criticizing, which was done in the past, now we are much more supportive in sports of these students taking time off in order to recover from those injuries.
Before we go to break, Brian, if I'm an athlete, I'm listening to the show, I want you training me. So for an athlete listening, how can they contact you, and where can you train an athlete who needs an edge and wants your services?
Thanks, Howie. I have a couple of things. I like the doctor's explanation on concussions real quick. The thing is, we're fighting 3 different beasts. The animal is the kid, the animal is the parents, and the animal is the doctor. So that is a problem with the kids today, where they go out and the parent might get that strong-headed mother or father that push them to play. Oh, you're a mamby-pamby. Then you have the doctor that's more on the side of caution, says no, don't play. Then you have the coach that says, what are you, a mamby-pamby? So right now we're just scratching the surface on this. As far as training, I am readily available on the boardwalk. I live in Long Beach. I'm a Long Beach resident. You can get me Baseball Plus in Freeport. You can get me at the New York Sports Complex, which is 2 blocks down. We do everything. I do clinics. We're going to do some charity. Had a great meeting with JDRF yesterday. Betsy and her partner. We're going to start raising some money. We're going to start doing a lot of good things. But you can call me anytime. Get my card at Baseball Plus. That's my cell phone on it, 718-662-3730. I'll train anytime, anyway, anytime, and I have a good support. You look around this table right now, I got a good support team, and there's no problem. If I don't have the answer, I'll find it out.
Awesome. What a great show tonight. Such interesting topics with great people. So anyway, we're going to take our last break of the evening, and after the break, it's all about Jake. Brian's going to be talking about Jake. Mayor's going to be talking about his good friend Jake. It's a fundraiser we're very involved in, coming up December 18th in Long Beach for a very sick child. We'll be talking about Jake after the break. Right now, we're going to take a break. Coming to you live from Avenue the Cafe. This is Broadcasting on the Beach with Halftime Howie, Long Island's first and oldest radio station, 1240 AM, WG.